Welcome to episode 9 of Two and a Half Men. We have to do a big apology because for the last week we haven't been able to do normal podcasts, and that is because life has got in the way. I have been ill. Howard has been busy. Frosty just sitting there going, "Where's everybody?"
I've got to do it on my own.
Yeah. He tried to record himself 3 times, just answering himself. Who's the best team? It's Liverpool. Yep, so we are back. So this episode is just mainly talking about this Premier League season and how we are feeling about it. And then we're going to talk about the Premier League in the past. And then we're going to do a bit of a quiz, which I know that Howard is absolutely dreading.
I literally am. I can't remember names of many people without looking up anything.
You'll be all right. You might come to you.
Yeah.
I'm hopefully like
Or
how
not.
to spell Arsenal or how to spell Aston Villa.
I've got no comment on that. No comments at all. So yeah, well, the first thing that we want to discuss today is because I've been looking at the Premier League this season, and one of the things that I've noticed is that mostly, bar a few games, no Premier League games easy. We look at the likes of Man City playing Sheffield United, they struggled. You see Luton Town putting in some good performances, Everton coming up with some decent victories, and then you're obviously looking at the top 5 at the moment in Spurs, Arsenal, City, Liverpool and Villa. And my question to you two is, do you think that this is the strongest Premier League that we have at the moment? So is this the strongest Premier League, the 20 teams? So not do we have the strongest couple of teams, but do we have the strongest 20 teams that have ever been in the Premier League?
Good question. I think that we have. I think it's a good shout to be one of the best ones in terms of competition. It seems like a lot more clubs are buying well and recruiting well and managing phases of seasons well. But you still get the odd rare results where a team will smack up a team 8-0 or 9-0. So does that mean that the week up? It's up there. I think the 3 come up this year I think there's a big gap between their quality and what the rest of the Premier League is. But in terms of the Premier League top 12, I think that's the strongest it's ever been. There's good 12, 13 teams. Bar the top 2, you could make a shout for them going on a form run or doing something to get quite up the table. So I think it's most exciting it's been near the top, but the jury's out for the bottom of the table.
Yeah. No, I agree with the bottom 3 are the weakest that have come up. I thought Burnley would do a lot better, just purely for the fact they were playing good football and stuff like that. But I think their showing against City last season kind of showed that they weren't ready for the Premier League, and obviously that's kind of like bear its fruit, hasn't it? Really. So I think the other 2 teams in Luton and Sheffield, they kind of just went, "We're here." Like it's kind of like a good season out, isn't it? Like they know that they're going to go back down. They're not really that fussed about going back down. I think in their eyes, if they stay up, it's a miracle. But the other 17 teams in the Premier League, I just think are very strong. I haven't seen a Premier League season where the football is so fluid from most teams. And the only team that I exclude from that is Everton, because I think Everton play the worst football in the Premier League. I think they're more of like an old school, let's hoof it forward, hopefully it works. Whereas everyone else is trying to play football. Everyone else is trying to be fluid about it, and there's not many teams trying to play drop back football. Teams are going to teams, and I think that's what I like to see. And yeah, it's sometimes one team or 2 might take a massive battery, but a lot of the time they're tight games. They're very, very tight games. And just looking at the top, I think if the league carries on the way it's going, which is obviously you've got Spurs, Arsenal, City, Liverpool, Villa's there at the moment. Well, obviously, as you probably anticipate, that they may drop away. And obviously, they're not going to keep touch with those 4. But I'm looking at the next 3 games. Spurs could be in a great position. They've got Fulham, Palace, and Chelsea. Liverpool have got the easiest. I expect Liverpool after the next 3 games to be top of the league because they've got Everton, Nottingham Forest, and Luton. So I expect them to win all those games.
Pressure's on.
Pressure. Yeah, the pressure is on, isn't it? And then you've got City, you've got Brighton, United, Bournemouth. So you don't know what City are going to do. And then we've got Arsenal, got Chelsea, Sheffield United, and Newcastle. So we've probably got the hardest game. So that top 4 could interchange quite a lot as the season goes on. So I don't think it will be. Everyone's saying Spurs and maybe Liverpool could drop away, but where the game's falling, I don't think they will. I think this could be a 14 Premier League.
You want to bet Liverpool dropping away?
Yeah, but Liverpool haven't been the force they've been. They've started the season well.
We've had one season where we dropped. People forget the season before we missed out on the title by 1 point.
Yeah, but it was a big drop, wasn't it? And you needed to reinvent yourself. So there's players in there that haven't, especially that midfield. The midfield is that engine, and if that engine falls apart or doesn't click, then Liverpool tend to struggle. So it could be the fact that they could fall away because they're trying to reinvent themselves. You're trying a different way of playing the way you played before.
I think if you look at anybody in that top 4, I think I'll look at City. City falling apart because they've lost some key players. Like De Bruyne has been injured for pretty much all of this season so far. They've lost Gundogan. They lost Cancelo. They're key players, and people forget how important that was to win the league.
Rodri's their one.
Rodri, I know Rodri's the main one, and obviously he's back. Is it this weekend?
Yeah, I think
so. Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, he's back. They'll probably be more comfortable when he's here, but. I think you look at De Bruyne, he's the most creative player the Premier League's probably ever had. And if they ain't got the creativity there, they can't just keep relying on Rodri because eventually Rodri is going to have a bad game. It happens to every player.
Oh, people are questioning Haaland, aren't they? They're saying,
I don't think it's the fact of Haaland having a bad game. It's the fact that he's getting no supply. I mean, when you have a striker like Haaland, you expect the balls to be whipped into him because that's what he's a target man. He's not a player who runs back. He's not a hard-working player. He gets to the end of the balls and puts it away, as he proven last season. But if you're not supplying the ball, then it ain't going to work for him, is it?
Yeah, their attack's a bit odd for me. Like I've seen them play like Alvarez at cam, and then playing Doku at the left.
That's actually changes. Another player as well, Morris. He's so underrated. He was so important for City.
Yeah,
he was. Bringing a player like Doku in 55 million, which is it's not really a lot of money in this market, but it's still a fair bit of money. And he's had a good start to the season, but he's just not got the same qualities as what like Sterling and Mahrez had. I don't know. It's not as good. Their football's not as good without them.
I worry about where the goals come from in that City team because. Haaland, he's gonna score lots of goals. But then I look at the likes of Doku, I don't think he's gonna score loads of goals. I don't think Bernardo's gonna give you loads and loads of goals. I think Foden can give you 10 plus goals, but he needs to run in the team. And Pep Guardiola doesn't tend to give him that. Grealish, I don't think Grealish has got more than 10 goals in him consistently. I really don't. I think he can give you 10 assists. I don't know that. He can give you 10 goals.
He's more of a creative player, any Grealish. He's not really the goal getter for City. Their style of play doesn't require him to get more than 10 goals a season.
Yeah. And then some with Alvarez, I think Alvarez is a 15 to 20 goal a season, but I don't think he's going to give you that from Cam. No. So he's in a weird position for them. I think he likes playing in that role, but it's the same old like City. Sometimes they'll get a player there that thinks that could be a good striker, and like Jesus, and then they start playing him on the wing instead of playing him up front.
I think that's why Jesus left, because obviously he wasn't playing where he wanted to play, and he knew at Arsenal they'd give him the opportunity. And last season it worked. So the front three was unbelievable.
No, Arsenal playing him on the wing.
Yeah, but that's just lack of options, weren't it? Because obviously Saka being out.
Yeah.
He just needs must for that game.
What do we think of Spurs?
I'll agree with Howard, what he said before. I think they've had a really good season, but Spurs have still got that Spursy in them, and I think eventually they'll end up having a bad game to like an average team. Like you can see them slipping up against like a Crystal Palace or something, and then after that, their season could just go from up here to slipping further down. And that's why I said, I don't think it was on the last podcast, that I think the top 4 is definitely up for grabs. And I think the teams of like Villa and Newcastle could be sneaking in there rather than Spurs, because I think they've got a bit more consistency to the play.
Yeah, that's the key word. The key word is consistency.
Yeah,
isn't it? Because, but then it depends how. Man City really, quite literally, only lost 2 games.
Yeah,
and the way everyone's talking is like that's the end of them, and they can pick things, and this is the reason and stuff. But like with most teams, like Arsenal last season, you lost a few games at the end, and then it turns to what's gone wrong for the season. So every season has a different level of consistency. Like back in the day when it was crazy, everyone seemed to be consistently winning. Then you had crazy points when they lost a few games, but their consistency was still there. I still reckon this season it'll be closer than it has been for more teams. So I believe what you're saying, Lewis. I think there'll be, as you said, it may be 4, maybe a bit more, but I don't. As you say, Spurs may lose a few games against, like, I don't know, someone random, like, I don't know, Sheffield. But I think any team, that's how strong the Premier League is, right?
Yeah.
Like, any team can have that game, and we're all going to have those talking points to see if it's the turning points. Personally, I think
it's going back to what you said, Annie, about the like, top 12 teams being closer than it's ever been.
Yeah. I can't see past the top 4 the way it is at the moment. I've seen enough football from them this season to say either if they go in a bad form, they've already shown glimpses of class that they've had already this season, that they can just fall back into that class trap and go on and pull away from the rest.
So I don't agree. I believe top 3. I still think that top 4, that 4th place is massively up for grabs.
I think I think Spurs just have to. Yeah, it's kind of like Arsenal of last season. Everyone was just waiting for Arsenal to trip up, and I think Spurs are in a similar position, not in regards to going for the title, but in regards to consistency and just going. Like everyone's eventually expecting them to slip up, and I think if Spurs just keep doing what they're doing, because some of the wins haven't been great.
Easy. Yeah, they've been easy.
Look, that game, that was a bit of a luck, wasn't it?
It was, yeah, but then you could potentially say, well, maybe they're losing that Spursy mark, because an old Spursy team would have lost that game easily. So it might be the fact that they're turning a corner. You never know. But then I think one of the things I
was just going to say, I think it's just too early in the season to fully believe that Spurs have like changed, turned the corner sort of thing. So I think in our age, we still think it's Spurs. They'll do what they usually do, have a good run, slip up, and then go average for the rest of the season. But talking about Arsenal, they did lose consistency, didn't they? Obviously, was it 12 points clear? And then you had a slip, lost and drawed a few games, and that let City back in and obviously go on to win the league. But I think Arsenal losing that bit of consistency last season isn't as bad as what I think Spurs will do. Because obviously they're looking for top 4. That's what their aim is. They've started the season brilliant, one of the best teams to watch. But I think if they don't finish in that top 4 now, after the start of the season they've had, that's more of a fail. And then Arsenal slipping last season. I know that you missed out in the league, and obviously you missed out on a trophy and that. But
no one expects to get there.
I think at the level that they put themselves at now, it's a bigger drop for them to not finish in that top 4.
Do you think? And I'll go for Herod on this one. What do you think the amount of points that will win the Premier League? So if this is one of the strongest Premier League seasons. So obviously you've seen Man City in 17-18, they got over 100 points. I think Man City last season got 86. I think that's their lowest Premier League winning points. So I think it was 86, wasn't it?
Something like that, it was in the 80s.
Yeah.
So what do you think wins the Premier League this season? Do you think that it will be around about the 86 mark? Do you think it'll be lower? Do you think it'll be higher? Because that, for me, determines how strong that Premier League is. If Man City are getting 100 points, for me, that kind of showed how weak the league was. Not necessarily how strong that Man City team was, because it was a great Man City team. But for me, that Premier League was pretty weak. There was only 2 good teams in that Premier League that season.
I know this is a question towards Harry, but I just want to say something quick about it. I think the fact that City have lost 2 games quite early in the season as in my head, it's put to me that it won't be like 100 points. I think it'll be sort of late 80s. But obviously, this is Hayward's question.
Yeah.
I was going to put it to you, in fairness.
Yeah, I think looking at past seasons, I think it may even be. No, I think I think it'll be in between like 80, like between 83 and 90. That type of
That's what I was thinking.
It depends. I don't know who at the moment is going to grasp on that challenge early, because obviously there's competition still to play. Like it's a long season. There's things that people need to. There's African Cup of Nations in the middle of it that people need to navigate around. But it depends on what the focus is early. So, for example, if Man City go out the Champions League for whatever reason stuff, obviously their focus will be on the Premier League. But when that will happen will dictate how things go. But
the
battles between the top 3 or 4 teams at the moment have been close, really.
Yeah, it does depend on Europe. I mean, I'm not just talking about my team, but I can't see Liverpool not going far in the Europa League. I think Arsenal will go decent in the Champions League. I think obviously City is expected to go pretty far. The one advantage Spurs have got, they've only got the league.
That's what I was going to say. They went out to didn't they go in the League Cup as well?
Yeah, all they've got is the FA Cup.
They've got the FA Cup at the beginning of the year.
Yeah.
So
do you think if Spurs don't finish in top 4 but win the FA Cup, do you think that's good enough?
Depends what you're speaking of. Yeah, I think a trophy would actually do that club wonders moving forward.
Yeah, I think I'm saying about it now because obviously it's a team that doesn't win many trophies in recent years, so they'd take a Mickey Mouse Cup, wouldn't they?
I think what's showing as well is that you've got the likes of Man United and Chelsea who are slipping, and obviously slipping quite heavily. And usually we've seen that with teams over previous years where they'll have little bumps in the road where they could go 3 or 4 games, but then they'll bounce back really quickly and win 4 or 5 because the league's not that strong. And I think this season, with your likes of Villa, your likes of Brighton, your likes of Newcastle, and obviously other teams around them, they're not allowing these teams to recover. They're just suffocating them and going, we're not going to drop down our points because we're a better standard of team. And I think that's what's making Chelsea and Man United look so bad, is because the league is so strong. These teams would usually catch up, and I don't think they will this season. I think Chelsea and Man United will be like 9th or 8th. It would not shock me this season.
I think it's rare. There's a lot of clubs around the middle of, like top middle of the table, just beneath the top 4, that have really, really bought well and had a plan. So Newcastle, with all the money that they've got, they've actually bought really well. They haven't gone out and done what they should have, or they could have done. Brighton's bought well behind the scenes as well as on the pitch as well in terms of players, and they're just finding diamonds in the rough like constantly. From Villa, we've had a long-term plan since we've average. No, we've had a long-term plan, and it's working. Like, don't get me wrong, like other teams have plans and they don't work. Just these 3 teams in particular seem to have, they're making the claim to be a long stay in that top half. And then conversely, Man U and Chelsea haven't bought well, and there's issues behind the scenes, so it's knocking them down as well.
Yeah, with Chelsea, the whole thing with like Russia and that's had a big effect from obviously the owner had to sell, and it's not really been stable since then, has it? It's sort of been all over the place, out of the club and on the pitch.
Well, your club, Liverpool, didn't, and Arsenal at one point they didn't really buy well.
No.
As soon as you start to make sense of what you're buying and what your plan is,
I feel like
you're up there again. So
when Klopp come in, he sort of said, "This is the style of player I want. I need these sort of players," and slowly he started buying them, and obviously he's going to start creeping up and getting more goals, and eventually works out. I know that's how like Arsenal have gone. Arteta's joined there. He said what type of players he wanted. He made big statements. He got rid of Aubameyang, one of your potentially best players at the time. Your club's captain. Weren't no fear at all to get rid of him. And he brought in well.
Yeah.
As much as people are on the fence about
Pepe.
Arteta, they're like 50-50 split with him, ain't they? Some people love him, some people hate him. And
Yeah,
I just think regardless what you think of Arteta, he's done an amazing job for Arsenal.
It's very animated, isn't it?
Yeah, he is. Klopp is one of those. He's had the luxury of time, hasn't he? He's been he's weathered the storm, and a lot of managers do not get the same time that he's got. So he's been trusted to get you through a transition or change the squad when your players are getting older and you get in the younger players, and he's managed that through. You could say he had a blip last year, but I'm sure there was an issue with your transfers and the people you were buying, and the media made it seem like there was a disagreement, like Klopp wanted players but you couldn't get them in because of your budgets and all that stuff. That seems to have been forgotten about, and you've started to
sort of moved on, ain't we? And
purchase and have money, because you offered a crazy amount for a player that you didn't get. So the shows the money is still there. So things have changed.
I look at the league now, and I think I don't know if you two agree, but back in like the mid 2000s, where there was Man United, Arsenal, and Chelsea. I feel like it's that competitive sort of season there where you've got three set teams where you can. It feels like them three teams, like City, Arsenal, Liverpool, are going to be the ones competing for the top. And then you've got another good group of teams competing for the fourth place and the other Europa League places. Well, it's 5 Champions League places, isn't it, now for next season?
Yeah, it wouldn't shock me if that played out the way it did. I think one of the things that I like as well is I'm not seeing any fear. Like in Premier League teams, in Premier Leagues gone by, you'd always be scared of those top 4 teams. Any team below them would be too scared to play them. And then the 2 of them teams, so like if Arsenal went to like Man City or Man United or Chelsea back in the day, or Liverpool, we'd be scared to play them. You knew you'd go into that game, you're more likely going to lose. I'm looking at teams like I look at Villa playing City, and I think Villa could get something from him. I look at any team playing any team, and I think they're going to give them a good flipping go. And it's like I used to remember Spurs under Redknapp thinking every time they play Man United, they've got to give them a good go this time. And every time Man United would go in and smack them up. And I don't see that no more. There's no fear at all, and it's great to see. I mean, it's great to see.
Yeah, it's good, isn't it?
It's definitely a good time to be a football fan.
It is.
100%.
It is a strong league. Even the ones that we're saying at the bottom they're still going to pick up those crazy points across the whole season.
They're capable of a couple of upsets, ain't they?
Yeah,
look at Wolves against City. There's your example.
Well, it's because complacency with teams comes into play. Like you couldn't even say Man City was complacent against Wolves. They just didn't.
Yeah.
They didn't give them the respect that they should have. There was more hunger from Wolves than Man City, and that's a lack of respect for Wolves, really. So, and there's going to be loads of games like that.
Which is a silly thing to do as well, really, because Wolves have always had decent games against City.
Yeah.
Should we move on?
Yeah.
So, what we want to talk about next, and I think this is going to be up for a controversy because I know which team I'm picking. I think you guys know what team I'm going to pick for this bit, but we are going to pick our strongest Premier League winner. So, since the Premier League started in, I think it's 91-92, I believe it is. Obviously, there have been many teams that won the Premier League, and there have been some fantastic teams that have won the Premier League. Some really good, amazing teams, some amazing players. So, who would like to kick us off on the strongest Premier League winner? So this can't be a team over a period. This has to be a team in a season.
It's just clicked to me who you're going to pick.
Obviously. I knew that was going to be, but it's got quite a strong argument, really. Okay.
Have you got one? You feel like you're thinking about it? Or?
I am thinking about it, but I would say you go on, Ross.
Okay, then. So, is it the 2020-21 season when City won the league by 1 point against us, and he went to the final game of the season where City was 2-0 down against Villa, then they come back and won 3-2.
So the 96 points. The 96 Liverpool, 95.
Yeah, 96 City and 95 Liverpool, I think it was.
Yeah,
because we beat Wolves and City beat Villa on the last day, didn't they? Coutinho got them 2 goals.
Mm-hmm. And it was the 2020 season,
Yeah, I remember. I was in Newcastle. I was watching it with my girlfriend and dad, and yeah, it was an horrible day because at the point where we thought Villa had done it for us, and obviously we started winning against Wolves, and then all of a sudden it all comes crashing down. City come back and going to win it. It was horrible as a Liverpool fan, but I just think to have a team breathing down your neck all season and still to go on to win the league with such high points, I think that's a challenging season. There's not many teams who could go on to do that. And I know what you're going to say, so I'm not going to support it, but I just think the competition wasn't as strong then. That's why you was able to draw so many games and still go and win the season.
I've got an argument against that. Go on, Howard. I'll let you go first.
It's tough when you're thinking about 1 year, but the one that rings true into my head was the Man City one in 17-18.
The Centurion one.
103 points, 106 goals.
Yeah, 32 games across a season is unbelievable.
That's ridiculous, ain't it?
I don't know how many. I think they only lost a couple. I don't know what, but I think they scored 100 odd goals, 106 or some 107 goals.
106 goals. I looked it up before we
Yeah. I did as well. I knew that season was a strong season, but when you read stats, you're like, my God, that's just pure domination.
Yeah.
Well, as dominant as you can be without, the games aside, just the way they played football that season, just the air of, I just knew that they could steamroll teams. And I remember parts of that season, and they had to grind out results as well. But there was a I can't remember the games that they lost, but that line, when they kept steamrolling teams 3 or 4-0, there wasn't that, those teams that were in like 6th or 7th and stuff that were near them, and they were just steamrolling them 2-0, 3-0, 4-0 constantly. It was a great team, managed well. I think they failed in the Champions League quite harshly that season, if I remember.
Was it the Monaco one?
I was going to say, was it the Monaco one? Yeah, when Pep started messing with the team.
Yeah.
And Mbappe just showing him how to play football on his own.
Yeah. So
was that the one where they lost to Leon? Didn't lose to Leon, one of them?
Yeah. Oh, they got battered by Leon, didn't they?
Yeah, they couldn't
the attack.
They couldn't find the formula in the Champions League, and you couldn't understand why when they would do that in the Champions League and then smack up a team in the league.
Yeah.
The weekend, it didn't make any sense. But yeah, a match of the day was always a treat because you knew they were going to be first, and they scored loads of goals. Just was relentless. So that was probably the strongest season. But I know there's quite a few up there for different reasons. So I'll let you go.
But after Lewis has said it, I want to say an honourable mention as well after for another team.
Mention.
In fairness, it was close to me, and I think one of the reasons why I haven't gone for a Man City team is because I hate them. No joking. Is just because I think those leagues are pretty weak. But I think Liverpool and Man City was so strong, but then you looked at the other teams around now, and it was like La Liga was very strong then with like Real Madrid, Barcelona at those times were pretty strong. And when I look at that league, and I think teams only looked at Man City and Liverpool, thought they were very strong, but then the rest of the league was crap. Like I remember looking at Arsenal, it's crash style. Can I say that? Okay. With like Arsenal, Chelsea, Spurs, Man United, they weren't strong teams. Like Arsenal was still just trying to push up to come through. I think the 17-18 one, that was Emery. Or it might have been Wenger's last season. So we were very poor in those stages. And one of the ones I was going to look at was Chelsea's first. The one under Mourinho where they only conceded 15 goals.
I was literally going to say that. That's the only mention. You can't not mention them after only conceding 15 goals.
Yeah, I did look at that because I was thinking obviously it was like Pete, John Terry, who was like Drogba was just Frank Lampard, unbelievable. Obviously, I am going to go for Arsenal Invincibles, and I think the reason for that is because I'm an Arsenal fan, and just I'll say that, but I just think whenever you look at when anyone ever mentions the strongest players in the Premier League, you look at that era that era just goes through your memory of players that you just will always go in your best 11. There isn't many players from this era, and it might be the fact that we're currently in it and those players are still playing. But when you look at those players back then, you're looking at Thierry Henry. I look at Sol Campbell, I think it's unbelievable. You look at the likes of obviously Vieira, like Lombard, Pires. These players are just iconic, and they did unbelievable things. And to go the amount of games that they've won, because that question might be in this quiz, so I can't say the number, they've been unbeaten. So, but they were class. And I still remember Wayne Rooney's goal. Done us. But to go that amount of games over 2 Premier League seasons, I just think it's unbelievable. I know there's a lot of draws in there, and I do get that. But the resilience that they showed was just mega. And I think the Premier League was quite strong then. So to do that at that time, I just think it's unbelievable. And that kit will be in my memory forever. I think that kit is just iconic as well. That O2 symbol.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, but I think you're saying that as an Arsenal fan.
I think everyone's like that. I think you ever go to me, you tell me you don't look at that Arsenal kit and just think that kit's unreal.
I do appreciate Arsenal in that era. But for me, it was more Henry, not Arsenal.
Henry.
Henry.
Yeah,
he's Henry, not Arsenal, who I thought back then, because he was the best player in the league. Best player to ever play in the Premier League for me.
That team's magic, though.
But
yeah,
I think
that team was amazing.
No, that team was good. But I think as a team that good, you draw so many games. And if it was that good and convincing, you wouldn't have drawn as many games. And I know, obviously, it's unbelievable to not lose a game all season. That is ridiculous. But I think City come close, but they won most of the games. As Arsenal drawn a lot of games, I just think City, even if they lost 1 or 2, they're still more convincing.
Well,
but I'll let you argue it.
Because they've just, I don't understand what you're saying, but as Lewis was saying earlier, the league, he thought the league at that time was stronger. Like drawing these games is not losing games. So wins and draws, it depends on the outlook depends on that game. They came back to win a point. They kept themselves unbeaten all season. Like Man City, no team's done that before. So to dismiss that accomplishment as, it's close, it's a bit unfair.
No, I don't dismiss it. I really appreciate it. I think that's why I said it's unbelievable that they've done it. But I still think if City even lost 1 game, or even if Arsenal now themselves lost 1 game, I think that would be a more memorable season if you won most of your games, because I think just drawing so many, it's not as convincing.
I'm looking at the next season afterwards, and Chelsea won that league. They lost 1 game. No one's talked about that. They've lost 1 game. They drew 4 less games. They won 3 more games. Now, that's a very good season.
Yeah.
No one really mentions it.
What was their point?
I just still think of the draws.
I don't know what the points tally was, because
I'm very curious what won the league for Arsenal that season, because I think it was.
What was your points tally?
Well, Arsenal, I can't remember.
Yeah, I
genuinely can't remember.
I
think it was low 80s, but then that to me shows a strong Premier League, and I think like getting 100 points, don't get me wrong, I think it's fantastic. I think it's great. Getting 95, 90, 96 points is unheard of. It's unbelievable. But then, like I said, I just think that league at that time was just so weak, and I'm not taking anything away from. Go on.
Yours was 90 points.
Was it? Unreal.
Yeah.
Fire. I didn't think it was that high.
Yeah, because it's 26 games won times by 3 and then plus 12. Yeah.
So I don't think it was that high. But as I do get the draws are in there. But then you look at the players in that from that era. They were just unbelievable players, and they were so strong. And I generally think if that Arsenal team now played that City team from 17-18, I still think that Arsenal team would win. Because we were big, we were strong, and we had loads and loads of talent. Like you could go player for player in that team against that team from Man City 17, 18, and I still think a lot of Arsenal players would come out top.
I strongly disagree because I think a lot of players from them till now, how much the football's changed in like the last 15 to 20 years. I don't think they'd be able to play in this style of play.
I had this debate the other day with someone because we were discussing Robertson over Ashley Cole because Robertson has got better stats than Ashley Cole, and I said if you was to put Ashley Cole in the Premier League now at the start of his career, would he have better stats than Robertson? Because the fullbacks back then played a different way of playing. Wingers back then played a different way of playing. They weren't as
that's why you can't go off players from stats in different eras because it don't work. Because
that's my argument. Yeah, that's my argument. I think if you put Pires and Lundberg in a Premier League now, I think they'd score loads more goals.
I don't think they can keep up the pace.
Yeah, but if you think about it, like if you think about like you play FIFA, right? So you got old school players with stats based on them being back in the day in the Premier League, but they still are amazing on FIFA now, mixed in with the current players and stuff.
And in FIFA, you can get a bloody 99 rated card who plays in the Championship.
Yeah, but that's fake. Like I'm talking about not the games with all the fake ones, like the real. You know when they've got scouts that scout the players, the base,
yeah,
the base like stats of players. I think it's not a bit of a cop out. I just think it's you can compare those two because our eyes have seen them play on the pitch.
Yeah, but we've seen them play against the same era of players. I'm saying that era of players now to playing against this era of players, there might have been better quality of football players, but the way football's changed, it's totally different. It all goes off like AI computing and stuff like that. You mean there's all sorts of different tests you have to do. I just don't think that as sportsmen are as good as they are now.
I understand. I get what you mean, but I don't think
it's changed. Football's not just the fact of being good at football now; it's everything.
So, would you think that players now would be good back in that era if you can put?
I don't know. I really don't know, but the fitness now is a lot better. I mean, you can rely like on one player to have a really good season all season. I just think back then injuries was quite a big thing and stuff. So some key players we've spoke about, obviously in the previous podcast, missed out on football because of key injuries, and I don't think you get as many key injuries now as you used to because the medical's better, all the fitness is better, the training's better, everything's better. So the players have gone to the next level as of the core of the bodies, everything just better.
So now, you encompass a lot of the era and fitness and stuff, but whenever people are comparing, if I compare a team back in the day with a team this in the day, it's just one day peak of their powers against a pitch. I don't think of if they were a carrot the day before.
We look back then, don't we? And you speak at Thierry, he's a massive name. He's done it all and whatever. But you look at like probably Salah. He's done a lot for Liverpool, and you know what I mean. He's had incredible seasons since he's been here. But I don't think anyone will ever compare Salah to Henry because of the legend icon name. It sort of sticks stronger than actual how they play, if you know what I mean. I think the iconic name stands out more than what they're doing now.
His entertainment levels were different now. He was a showman, where I think like with Salah, he's unreal, he's world class, but Henry was a showman, and I think that feeds on that as well.
I've seen the other day, Salah and Henry have got the same amount of European goals.
Oh yeah, it wouldn't surprise me. Like Henry hasn't got the best stats in regard. I think Aguero's got a better goal to games ratio than Henry.
There's a lot that's changing games.
That's another thing. Like Henry played in a better Arsenal team, as you said. That Arsenal team, as we all think and know, is better than the Liverpool team what Salah's ever probably played in. Mm-hmm. And Salah is going on to do better things, really. I think if he had a longer career like at Liverpool as Henry did have at Arsenal, I think he'd beat his goal record in the league and in Europe.
Be quite interesting
I
because
think-
because laws
it's
have
all right.
changed in football. Like laws have changed to support more goals and to support like there is more goals now than there was.
Yeah, because like VAR obviously is added income and impact on it. Sorry, and a goal what wouldn't have stood before gets looked at now and can be put as a goal, which obviously Henry's era didn't have that.
There's added times. There's time on the ball.
There's times where, like, you know, when Henry for France against Ireland, where you handballed it, got the goal, that one accounted now. So there's pros and cons on both sides of it, where they've had some goals where it shouldn't have counted, and they probably would have had some goals what should have counted. So that's what another thing why I find it hard to compare stats from old era to new era.
It is different. I generally think that if you took that Arsenal team at the ages that they were, and you gave them one season to train in a modern day, because you got to think as well, you got to look back then as well. The training was rubbish, their diets were rubbish, the pitches were nowhere near as good as the pitches that are here today.
Yeah.
So you were playing in like only the top probably 2 or 3 teams had an amazing pitch, and even you see it then the bubbles all over the place. I generally think if you took that Arsenal team, gave them a season in this one or training at least, I generally think that Arsenal team would beat Man City. I just generally think that era, their diets were awful and everything like that, and their standard was unbelievable. The play, some of the goals that I see from Arsenal that don't even get mentioned, the goals are unbelievable. They're better than the Wilshere goal, and you just think none of them ever mention it. So I do just generally think that Arsenal team is better than Man City. I really do. I think it's a harder league, and it was worse conditions, and they played better football.
To make it happen. Set it all up on FIFA. Get up on FIFA.
Off the computer.
To play off against each other.
You know, on Rocky Balboa, they sort of get the computer to fight against that modern day boxer, and they sort of decide who wins. They should do that with the old era Arsenal and the new era City.
It's mad, man.
I love it.
That's what we get about, and that's what makes it fun.
Yeah.
Oh, of course it does. Are we ready for a quiz?
Yes.
I'm not. No. Go on.
This for a while.
Then we get a thing start and write down the score.
Off really, because you don't want to do this quiz.
Mate, to be fair, the way Howard's saying that if he beats you, it's going to look embarrassing for you.
Not embarrassing, because some of the questions could be in Howard's favour because he's old.
Oh,
wow. Wow.
Ooh.
I am young.
Howard, you did the editing. Can your birth certificate just flash up? Yeah. Can you try and put it in colour? Okay, so none of them. I don't know if there's any catered to individual teams that you support. I don't think there is. To be fair, no, there isn't. So it should be fair across the board. Most of them, they're all Premier League era. Most of them are over the thing. But there's only one question that is catered to this season. So, that's where I want you to think caps to be. The first one's quite a unique one, and if I think it's an easy one.
Before you ask the question, how are we doing it? Is it like first person to answer it? Or...
I want you to buzz your name. So I want you to say your name, and then I will decide who says it the quickest. And then, as I said, I will give the person who answers it correctly the chance to then get the second point. But the second point is harder to get.
Okay.
So, but then I will give that second person then the advantage to say if it's around goals, the person who answers the question correctly then says the goal mark. I will then give them some sort of inkling to the second person so they can guess. So it gives you the opportunity to come back.
That sounds fun.
How you pulling a face? You're not happy with my rules?
So you just have to shout up and then answer first. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. So I want you to say your first name. So I ask the question. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Basically. So then, but then the person who answers it correctly then gets the opportunity to answer the amount of whatever it is.
Okay.
So they get the chance to answer it first, and if they get it wrong, it goes on to the person who didn't buzz in.
Yeah.
Yes, and I may give them some sort of hint, depending on how the scores are going. Okay. So, first question. The All Premier League. Which Aussie has the most Premier League goals?
Which what?
Aussie, Australian. Which Australian has the most Premier League goals?
Howard.
Rossley.
I want to go Howard.
Okay. Was there a delay?
Generally,
I
he
said that
definitely said it
before I
you.
heard you said. Before
Yeah,
I heard
he did.
you say it, but
He did. The audio was a bit skewed there,
No.
so I can see why you thought it was you, but it wasn't.
Me.
no.
It was Howard got it first
Ozzy.
before you. So
Viduka.
go on. Viduka is correct. So you have 1 point.
I knew it was.
Yeah. To be fair, I thought it was a pretty obvious answer, but then the second point can give you the one. So you have to get in a 3 goal of the answer. So if you get 3 goals either way, I will
Either
give you a
side.
point. Either side. So how many goals did he score in his Premier League time?
So this is for me, yeah, to get a second point.
Yes, you get the chance to get the second point.
How many goals? He got 51.
No. And you are nowhere near.
Yeah, I bet I'm nowhere near.
Rossi?
I'm going to say 93.
Ooh, point for Rossi. It was 92.
Nice.
Very 52.
I just
Shane's Okay, next one. So remember to shout out to Shane. What is the highest scoring match this season? Rossi?
Newcastle beating Southampton 8-0.
Okay, so you get 1 point for that. You would have got the second point for getting the right match, but you said the wrong team.
You said the wrong team, yeah. So I have? Is Newcastle Sheffield United?
Yes.
Southampton.
Why did I say Southampton?
It's because they always lose by 8 or 9-0. That's why. So
I was just thinking of Leicester.
Yeah.
They're not even in the Prem.
Yeah, I was going to say. I was thinking.
To me,
not so bad, yeah.
The red and white striped kit, and I just forgot. I just said the first team name. It come to my head.
Yeah. Funny. So we are on 2 apiece so far, so it's interesting. Okay. Who won the first Premier League?
Rossi.
Oh, I forgot my name.
Go on then, Rossi. Go on, Rossi. I'm going to start counting you down.
Blackburn.
No.
Manchester United.
That's correct.
Oh, it's Man U.
Was Blackburn 95?
Well, the first Premier League was 91-92, I believe.
Yeah, it was.
And Arsenal won 90-91. Man United won 91-92. So
That's a question. Was Blackburn 95?
I'm not too sure. I'm not too sure. Okay, next one. Who scored the fastest Premier League goal?
Rossi.
Go on.
Shane Long.
That's correct.
Nice.
If you give me within 1 second, I'll give you an extra point. So how many seconds did he score in? And if you are and I'm talking if you are 0.0 out of that 1 second, you will not get it.
8 seconds.
As an extra point for you, he scored it in 7.69 seconds.
7.69. What a goal!
Yeah, but
that's crazy.
I think because it, like obviously the time. If you're like in 82 minutes, so many seconds?
Yeah.
Just to 83, so I think it would come up as 8 seconds.
I think it would.
Oh, right, yeah.
But Google told
me. I think that's more the minutes. Yeah.
Okay, I don't have a second point for this one because I don't actually have the answer like next to it. I have the answer, but I don't have the amount. So there's only 1 point on offer here.
Okay.
Unless you want me to Google it, I can't bother. Who has made the most Premier League appearances?
Rossi.
Go on.
Ryan Giggs.
No.
Really?
I'm going to give you 10 seconds, Howard. 10, 9, 8, 7.
Premier League appearances.
6, 5.
Think of longevity.
Milner?
3. No. The answer is Gareth Barry.
Oh yes.
I literally was choosing between Gareth Barry and Milner.
Yeah. Don't you play for Villa?
Yeah.
He broke
the record when he was at West Brom.
He did.
Oh, I about it as well. You know what I was thinking? Giggs. He played a lot in how many games
He
you know,
did.
Because
longevity.
you
did
said
have, didn't
gigs.
he?
You said gigs.
I was
You were
I
thinking
was
gigs.
going to get the amount of games as well, but I think it's like 659, something stupid like
Yeah.
that. Okay, next one is how many games are Arsenal unbeaten?
Howard.
Go on.
I didn't know what the question was. I didn't hear it.
49.
49 is the right answer. I said how many games are Arsenal unbeaten?
Oh.
Did you know it was 49?
No.
Yeah,
Okay.
because the Man U one could have made it a nice round number. That was always
Yeah.
Yeah.
Currently it's 4-4. And we
This is
still
good.
have 4 questions left. So this one I think is actually a tricky one because I didn't know this one. Who is the only defender to win the Premier League Player of the Season more than once?
Howard.
Go on.
Rio Ferdinand.
No.
Player of the season.
Van Dijk.
What's your go to? No.
I bet it's Terry, isn't it?
No.
Oh.
So Rossi, I'll give you one more because he had 2 guesses.
Vincent Kompany.
No. The answer is Nemanja Vidic. Yeah, he's the only player to have won it twice.
I was literally, it was when I was thinking Rio, it was literally a toss up between those two. That is mad.
Yeah.
I wouldn't even
Okay.
thought of him, you know.
Yeah. Okay, so we've got
That is
3
mad.
questions left. Still 4-4. You know the score. Okay, so this one is there's 2 points up for grabs. I will only give you 1 point for the 2 names that you have to give me, and then I will give another point for the amount. So, which are the 2 players that hold the record for the most assists in one season?
Rossi.
Go on.
Trent
both players?
Alexander-Arnold.
No.
De Bruyne.
I've got to let Howard answer it.
I have to
Because
guess
I need
2.
a point for both. Yeah, you've got to get both names to get the 1 point.
That's tough, man. That's harsh.
Most
I
assists.
thought it was quite an easy one, but the one I thought was really, really easy. Because we've actually answered one of the questions before for it.
Yeah. Oh, okay, I was in Beckham.
No. But I can't give you the name of the player because then you'll both get the answer. So if you want to guess the amount, then I will give you the answer of the player.
Bet you someone like
So what is the record for the most assists?
In one season.
In one season. What
How
I'm
many
going to do is you can have 1 assist either way. So I'm going to count down from 3, and I want you to give me your answer. You ready?
Yep.
Okay. 3, 2, 1.
16.
18.
So neither of you get a point. The amount,
Probably 25, isn't it?
the players is Henry and De Bruyne.
Said De Bruyne.
You said De Bruyne, but you get a point for both names. You don't get a point for one name.
I think that's hard. Because that's hard. That's a really hard question.
Don't fight the quiz master.
He
told you. He told you the rules.
If you said De Bruyne, you'd be saying the same thing as me.
I would not, because he said the answer. He said say 2 for a point, and you said 1.
Yeah.
That's
well,
not 2.
Okay. I'll ask you a question now. Don't you think that's a bit harsh?
No.
What?
That's the rules.
Because imagine if you got the first one right, and I give you 2 points for it, and then you got the number of rows, you'd be 3 points. You'd be 3 points ahead of him then, because you'd get both names, or if you got one of them, then I would have to give you the opportunity to get the number without Howard, so you would have got it semi-right. So I did that to make sure that if the game was tight, it would be fair. And I thought actually Henry was the most obvious one because we've got.
Yeah.
If I would have said to you, hey, the amount of goals and assists in the Premier League season, you would have got Henry because you would have said 20 plus on both because you've both given me that answer before. So I would have thought that you would have got Henry. I thought De Bruyne was the harder one.
I'm gutted I didn't get him.
I just think I think when you think of assists, you think of top class midfielders, and I thought Trent because You know why I got mixed up with Trent? Because he got the most assists as a defender.
He did. Was it like 16, 17?
Something like that, yeah. I mean, that's crazy for a defender, isn't it?
I have to give a weird honourable mention in this one to Mesut Ozil. Mesut Ozil had 17 assists in December.
Wow.
And then he only got one more assist for the rest of the season.
that is
started great, ended at the bottom.
Yep, definitely. Okay, so we are still neck and neck with 2 questions to go. So this one, I think it's an easy question. So there is a number that you have to give me. So the number is the answer. And I will give a point for every 2 teams that you name. So someone can fully take the lead here.
Okay.
No, actually, I'm only going to give 1 point for the amount of teams that you give me, because I think it's an easy question. Okay, are we happy with that? So you have to give me a number as the answer, and then you have to give me all of those team names.
Okay. Whatever.
Don't hear anything about being unfair. Okay, so are we ready?
Yeah.
Remember, Howard, do you remember your name? It's Howard. I'm just making sure you know.
I feel like I know what the question's going to be already.
What's this?
Okay. No, I was going to say you give me the question. I'll give you a point now. How many clubs have never been relegated from the Premier League?
Rossi.
Go on.
2.
No.
I swear it's 2. It's Arsenal and somebody else.
What you're thinking is different to what the question is.
So how many? I'm going to say it's then. Well, I need to get both of them right, don't I? So I'm going to say 3.
No. So Rossi, you're confused with. I think that is how many teams have not been relegated from the top flight.
Yeah.
And that is only 2. So Arsenal was one of them. The answer is 6. So what I will do is I will give you both a point split if you can give me 3. So I'll make it fair, because I don't want to. Okay. So I think it's an obvious one. So Howard, I will allow you. Arsenal is one of them. So you can have. Yeah, Rossi, I'll let you start then. So you can have 3 teams. You can pick 3 teams to get the points. What 3 teams? You've got Arsenal,
Everton. Never been relegated at the Prem, did you say?
At the Prem. Never been relegated from the Premier League.
Man United.
Okay, so you get a point. So you're on 5 points. Howard, you can have another 3 guesses of the other team. So we've had Arsenal, Everton, and who was your one, did you say? Man United.
Yeah.
So there's still 3 teams there. Liverpool?
Chelsea.
And Tottenham, correct.
I knew it.
Do you know what?
I knew it straight away, because I just thought Villa, they've been recent, Newcastle recent, the rest of the teams, they've all been mixed up, ain't they? So it had to be Spurs.
But I knew that would mess with Rossi's head, because we've talked about the amount of teams relegated from the top flight.
The top flight,
yeah. Okay, so this is the last question. And I think this is a very hard question. So I am generally going to give you a point for every player that you give me after the answer. So you have to give me the amount, and you will get a point for each player that you answer me. Okay?
Sounds interesting.
So, how many players have scored 5 Premier League goals in 1 game?
Howard.
Go on.
3.
No. Rossi, I'll give you 10 seconds to answer.
2.
No.
Okay.
So what I will do is I will give you a back and forth to see who can answer it, who can give me a name. So this is the way we'll do it. So Howard, I'll let you go first, because you said you got the closest to the amount. So I'm not going to say the amount. I will let Howard, I'll let you go first. You can say a name. If you get it right, then it will jump back and forth.
So it's like a sudden death and pens.
little bit, yeah.
Yeah.
Because you're back from 5. So,
Yeah.
Howard, I'll let you guess first.
5 Premier League goals. Shearer.
Yes. Rossin?
Aguero.
Yes.
Oh.
Howard?
I'm just going to go with Henry.
No.
He has
Rossin?
not.
Robbie Fowler.
No. So I will give you not a hint. There is 3 players left. So 5 is the answer. There is 3 players left,
Okay.
and they are all well-known players. They are not players that just like coming were fleeting in the Premier League. These are very well-known Premier League players.
Kane.
No. Rossi?
Trying to think of one. I want to say it's him, but I feel like he didn't get 5 goals.
Go on.
Haaland.
No.
So I knew that he didn't.
I think he
felt
got
like
5. I think he may have got 5 in the Champions League. Or may have got
Yes, he did.
4 in the Champions League. He's got a high number in the Champions League, didn't he?
He was close to it.
Well-known players. I'm going to say someone random like how about Son from Tottenham?
No. Okay, I will give you another hint. I believe that these other 3 players played in the era. Some of them played. One definitely played in. Well, some of them definitely played in the 90s.
And I won. Berbatov.
Yes.
Ooh.
You've got 2 left.
I've got 2 left.
These 2 players did not play past. They were not past the 2010 era.
They were not past the 2010 era.
No, they only played in the first 2 decades of the Premier League life, I believe. Maybe the one went slightly into the 10th, don't know. But they were most known for those eras. You are 1 point behind, so just throwing it out there. So if Foster gets the next one, he's won.
I don't know.
I'd love you to get it. So there's only 1 name left.
Is it just gonna go for
Come on, Edwards.
No.
Who did you say?
You said Ian Wright.
I said Ian Wright.
I'm gonna go with.
If Ross doesn't get it, I'll give you another clue. Come on.
Won't come to me, but he's just gone.
And I start counting you down.
Andy Cole.
Andy Cole is 1.
Ooh.
So you have 1. So Howard, you put up a good fight. Do you want to guess the last one? The last one is England.
Defoe.
Yes.
He did play. He played up until like.
I think I don't count him. He's better than him. Anyway.
So what?
Do you know what? The one I would have guessed the most was Defoe. So it's Andy Cole, Alan Shearer, Jermaine Defoe, Dimitar Berbatov, and Sergio Aguero.
You know why Andy Cole comes to me? I just think of that Dwight York and Andy Cole pairing for United, and I just thought one of them must have got a high amount of goals.
There was Louds from that era that you probably could have. You could have got like the TPA. You could have gone Louds that you thought could have got 5 goals in one game.
Not that many as recent as I thought, really. But
I think
definitely not.
A few of them got probably 4 goals. It was close.
Yeah. Did we enjoy that?
Yeah, I actually really enjoyed that. I feel like that should be a thing we should do more often.
Yeah, I think I might do a quiz around England, maybe just English players next, and then I might do maybe a non-foreign. There's some really good ones about kind of foreign players, which I thought was really, really good. So
also, if you wanted to, Luz, we could sort of switch it up, and one of us could host it, so you can be more involved.
No, I'm loving this torture.
You love the host. You love it.
Yeah, I do. Host is for the mouses, man. That's where I get my extra height from. The power. Okay, so we are going to call it there, guys. So, I actually think this has been worth the wait.
Yeah, it does.
This
I've
was an
really enjoyed
absolute
it.
blinder. So yeah, that is us for today, guys. So it is a goodbye from me, and we'll see you in a few days.
It's goodbye from me.
Oh, Rossi went in the next one, and then Howard, go on.
Right, see you later.
Cut him off. Bye, guys.
See ya.